With another week of Overwatch League action completed, I would normally return today with an updated power rankings video, which I've been doing weekly since the start of its season. But given only a few sides attended the LA Valiant homestand for a short week, I don't think there will be too many alterations compared to last week, as well as the fact that the regular season is now concluded. So today, I decided instead to alter my format slightly, and only rank the top 12 who will be competing in postseason action. So hopefully that makes sense, and let's get straight into this week's rankings. I'm going to start with my bottom two sides, from 12 to 11, heading into the play-ins and playoffs. And then there's Shanghai Dragons at 12 and Chengdu Hunters at 11. Universally, I think it can be agreed that these two teams, based upon current form and recent performances, are the worst placed heading into the play-ins later this week, which is why nearly every prediction I've seen so far for their first round playoff matches against the Fusion and Charge respectively have them on the losing side. Ever since their victory over Seoul at the beginning of Stage 4, Shanghai have been declining further and further, losing game after game, that seen them finish this stage with a horrible record of 1-6, which saw them finish 18th this stage. It's only thanks to the failings of others below them that they've held on to their spot inside the top 12. It's not as if this team doesn't have talented pieces across the roles, but following the introduction of 2-2-2 Rollock, the team have failed to adapt their triple DPS playstyle and saw them become our Stage 3 champions. The Dragons aren't sure who to start out of Ding, DM and Youngjin, with all not entirely comfortable playing the meta picks of heroes like Reaper and Mei, which has seen the running of these comps look terrible, as emphasised by their 4-0 brutal loss to Hangzhou to end their regular season. We need to hope that Sigma can turn things around for them. I wouldn't get my hopes up, as their DPS can work things out as well. Chengdu meanwhile have had a much better stage, as they finished with a 4-3 record. The issue is that like Shanghai, the displays from the Hunters gradually got worse as the stage progressed, where their unorthodox style get encountered more often, with teams becoming more adept at playing the Mei Reaper or Mei Hanzo pull pork competitions. Armin and Jinmu at times have popped off, helping them to wins over the likes of the Excelsior, but the last couple of weeks have been a lot tougher, with a dominant 4-0 loss to the Shock and a nail-biting 3-2 win over Houston that's just seen them hold on to 12th after the LA Valiant failed to pick up the win they needed to go above them last week. This in mind, however, at their best, the Hunters can always cause an upset, and if any team can master and cleverly use Sigma, it's going to be these guys. We'll have to wait and see, as they face a tough challenge ahead of them in the play-in tournament just to keep the playoff hopes alive. From 10 to 7 are the four teams that I find really hard to evaluate, given their inconsistencies in performances throughout the stage, but also throughout the season itself. At 10, I've put the Philadelphia Fusion. At 9, the New York Excelsior. The Seoul Dynasty are at 8, and then at 7 is the London Spitfire. I'll firstly talk about New York, as they were the only team to actually play at the LA Valiant homestand weekend, and the thing I imagine most people immediately point to will be their 3-2 defeat to Vancouver as a sign of his team's strength and improvement. Granted, they did play much better, even if at times it was a sloppy affair, with Jonak, but especially Flower, making some clutch plays that have been lacking for this side throughout the stage. This is only one match, however, and just the day before, they had to work quite hard to beat Boston, with similar mistakes again from Mano on Orisa and Meko, who especially in terms of their positioning have been struggling to adjust to the current meta within 2-2-2, with Mano strangely getting caught out on a number of occasions on Orisa. They also seem quite reluctant to keep Flower in at times, which is odd given how much better the team has looked as a whole when he played, so I'm certainly not convinced this side has returned to form as we approach the playoffs. In the case of all these teams though, there's been fluctuating highs and lows that makes them very hard to judge. Philly have beaten Seoul and run Guangzhou close, but at the same time have lost to Paris. New York beat Spark and ran Vancouver close, but were crushed by the Hunters. Seoul should have beaten the Charge, but then lost to Philly a couple of weeks ago, whilst London have actually beaten the Charge, yet lost to Florida. To be perfectly honest, swapping these teams around these four positions would be totally understandable, but I've largely kept it how I had my rankings last time out. They each at their best can be very competitive to the sides above them in the playoffs. However, New York aside, it's entirely possible that the other three fall at the play-in tournament, and whether they can master Sigma and start stringing together some decent displays will decide how well these sides perform over the course of the postseason. Moving on, the next three teams I want to discuss about between the positions of 6 and 4 are the LA Gladiators at 6, Hangzhou Spark at 5, and the Vancouver Titans at 4. It would be perfectly reasonable to say that perhaps I should have even lumped the Gladiators and Spark closer to the four teams I have below them, as they are also guilty of not performing on a regular basis. But I've relented based upon the quality I'm more confident they can produce. Shawfer and Godsby have really stepped up to become the main men that spearhead these lineups with important results in the last few weeks that have confirmed them spots within the top 6, automatically qualifying them for the playoffs, avoiding the play-in tournament. I really like the depth of these squads at each position, with solid tank lines in Raw and Void, as well as Gushway and Rhea. Over the course of this stage, they've become far more comfortable playing around Orisa and her kit, whilst the backlines have contributed well also. The issue will be whether their DPS styles perform and can come up clutch in the important teamfights that have been so crucial towards their team's successes, alongside figuring out how to utilise Sigma, as both of these sides have equal potential to challenge right up there with the very best of the top, but also flop and disappoint at an early stage in the playoffs, with their first round matchup between one another a very interesting testing ground for this. After these two though, I've got Vancouver, who quietly had a really strong 5-2 stage, with a 6-1 record ripped away from them in a tight 3-2 defeat to the Shock. And to be perfectly honest, they're probably on a level pegging with the charge above them. They've adapted much better than I thought they would, with their tank line in particular really impressing me for how well Bumper has played on Orisa, and also Janu and his Roadhog. They still have been a little sloppy at times, as shown in their 3-2 win over New York the day after, with their DPS position in particular a bit up in the air at the moment about who suits the team best and which heroes they should be playing, which is why I have them at 4 and not higher. But if they can adapt moving forward to using Sigma and build up some momentum, they're definitely going to be one of the favourites to win it all come the playoffs. Finally, with my top 3, as we head into the play-in tournament and playoffs, I've got the Guangzhou Charge at 3, Atlanta Reign at 2, and remaining at the peak for yet another week, the San Francisco Shock at 1. Guangzhou have had almost the perfect stage as they finish with a 6-1 record, and as I said a minute ago, they're more closely aligned to Vancouver than the two above them. They've always been a team that has promised so much, with talented potential of players like Happy and Shoot, but up to now, it's just failed to all come together in one package that finds success. This has changed in Stage 4, following the introduction of 2-2-2. Early on it was clear that this side clearly knew how to get the most out of its meta, becoming one of the best sides to adapt to the Orisa Hog Mei compositions, have taken centre stage over the last couple of weeks. In Happy and Nero, you have what has been one of the most deadly DPS duos this stage, that has been dominating their opponents, both on the Mei Reaper, but also while flexing across other heroes like Widowmaker and Pharah. Rhea and Hopper have been a solid tank line that's efficiently played around Orisa, whilst Chara and Shu have looked much more assured on the backline. They are massive favourites to come out of the play-in bracket, and if they play how they ended the season, I wouldn't like to doubt them, especially with Hopper being a player who has shown his ability to flex in the past, so I reckon he'll be able to pick up Sigma quite quickly. That said, they did lose 3-1 to London, and were lucky to escape 3-2 against Seoul and Philly earlier this stage, demonstrating that they have at times not turned up at their best and dropped the ball a little. And if they want to be considered amongst the best, these lapses in concentration mustn't occur, especially in the play-in tournament coming up. Atlanta and San Francisco, however, have been nothing short of perfect this stage, with 7-0 records that saw them automatically make the top 6, which will interestingly pit them against one another in the first round. There have been the odd moments of sloppiness, but starting with Atlanta, they were able to make right on a rough stage 3, where good performances didn't bring results, whereas over the last 5 weeks, across the board they've been dominant, as showcased by their exhibition-like destruction of Boston to finish their regular season. Between Baby Bay, Enlayer and Erster, their DPS players have been having a major impact with some fantastic performances on heroes like Mei, Reaper and Widowmaker. Pokepo and Massa again have been solid at their respective positions, whilst Dogman has been showcasing why he believes he was snubbed by Team USA this year, with a string of strong performances himself. But the man of the hour for the Reign has got to be FRD, who's been astonishing on Roadhog. His all-round game has been brilliant, particularly when it comes to his hooks. With Player of the Match awards coming his way on a regular basis, he's established himself as one of the best, if not the best off-tank player right now. San Francisco also finished their season with some class, as they basically trolled their way to a 4-0 win over the Valiant. As I said before, they've answered all the questions about their adaptability to 2-2-2, with Architect and Smurf coming in and playing really well at DPS and Orisa respectively, and I think Sinatra has been performing far better than many would have imagined. Their toughly fought out 3-2 win over the Titans just gives me a little more confidence in their experience against top quality compared to Atlanta, which is why I have them higher. But the biggest challenge facing both of these sides heading into the playoffs will be their ability to play around or counter Sigma, as if they fail in this regard, all their hard work at the end of this season will end up being for nothing. And with that, reach the end of my pre-play-in and playoff power rankings, and I'd like to thank you for watching. Just a reminder that tickets to the Overwatch League 2020 are supposed to be released tomorrow, or today, depending upon when you watch this, on August 28th. So keep a close eye on the Overwatch League website and Twitter for more information. However, if you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter for continuing competitive Overwatch coverage and content. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.